Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Round 7. How you doing? Today, Prince of Peace brought their defense to us. They are rocking about 47 million, 46 million TCP in Masters. And Prince of Peace is doing quite well there with a variety of different teams. As you can see, we've got War Dogs featured in room 1 here. So we're already starting off with something a little bit different. And so we're going to be showing some teams that are working even at the Masters level, because Prince of Peace approaches their offense in a different way than most people do. And we'll see, because they're not using Death Seed on offense, which is something that most people are not doing. All right, in room number 1, we do have the War Dogs, and we've got Shuri as a fortifier. The reason Shuri is a fortifier is mostly just to help reduce efficiency. She's probably not going to die in a Kangbang. She might survive a little bit longer, takes a few more hits. Nothing really special about this team. They're just a pretty decent team to throw on defense. We're not using them on offense almost anywhere in Crucible right now, so it's pretty good. You could probably make Shuri a healer or even a skirmisher. It's not really going to matter or change the outcome. Fortifier is just to maybe get an extra attack in on this team. We're hoping that this pulls a Masters of Evil, but in the Masters level, that's probably not going to happen. It's more of a filler team, but it's okay. Almost everything that we're putting in 1, regardless of how big it is or what composition it is going to be beat in room 1. There's solutions to everything. So Prince of Peace isn't wasting his time on anything substantial. He's just throwing in this War Dogs, and I think it's fine. I'm going to give it an A-. I think you could try a little harder to pull something bigger, but we're not wasting anything by throwing this team in here. Okay, room number 2 is, of course, the Bifrost team. Everybody's using the Bifrost team in room 2 because it becomes really challenging, especially the bigger this gets. 1.5 and above, it becomes very tricky, and a lot of people are going from Death Seed to a Death Seed plus APOC in there. And even the Death Seed plus APOC stumbles once in a while, and we'll talk more about that when we get to room 6. The best way to set this team up in room 2 is to go from right to left. You want to go, let's do OG Loki, then Beta Ray Bill, then Vol in the middle. We're putting Vol in the middle on this one because this Vol is one of the biggest on the team. They're stacked, they can take the hits, so it's okay to put Vol in the middle. If your Vol is smaller, then you're gonna wanna swap the OG Loki into the middle and the Vol to the outside, so hopefully Vol doesn't get hit too much. The idea is that Beta Ray Bill taunts. The splash damage is going to 2 of the best retaliations you've got. You can also use Kid Loki adjacent to Beta Ray Bill. Kid Loki's got a pretty good counterattack assist also. But we want to get Sylvie out of there. Sylvie's the hot target, so put Sylvie in the corner as far away from all the action as you can. Also, something to note, on this, we have 3 strikers and 2 skirmishers, and we don't like that math. Now, Prince of Peace says that they have already changed their Teen Loki to a skirmisher, so that's 3 and 2. That's a little bit better. Other choices would be making either Teen Loki or Sylvie a raider. They have multi-target attacks on all of their basic special and ultimates, so making them raider will get you more vulnerables on the field for your Vol and Beta Ray Bill to strike into. Other people do use Beta Ray Bill as a raider. I like him as a striker. So those are some choices. These aren't egregious, but we definitely want to change that placement so that Beta Ray Bill is adjacent to Vol and either OG Loki or Teen Loki. I'm running OG Loki adjacent to my Beta Ray Bill right now. So for me, this is a B-. This team, everybody's like, oh, this team never fails. Well, it's because the team never fails. It's not anything special that anybody's doing. It's just really challenging. We don't have a great solution to it. We have 2 different counters in game to it that work really well. One is the Masters of Evil with Apocalypse. That's kind of the sure thing, and that's what Prince of Peace is using on offense into this. Most everybody else is using the Death Seed with Apocalypse, which can fail. You can get some bad RNG, and it'll fail. But, however, we're going to talk about that later. So those are your 2 choices to go into this team. I recommend the Death Seed and Apocalypse, or straight Death Seed if you're punching down or across, usually works. All right, Room number 3 is the Infinity Watch. This is going to be pretty standard. It works the best in here. You're not going to be using them on offense. All strikers and a skirmisher, this works great. A for this one. If you want to bring it to the next level and you don't need Kestrel for anything, you can swap out Moondragon for Kestrel, and then she will get procced on those defense downs that happen in this room. You'll get some extra damage out of the team, but I think the team's going to lose no matter what. So A for this, moving on. Here we have Gamma in 4. At first, I was like, no, this is a waste of Gamma in 4, and then we were talking about it, and Gamma's pretty much gonna get killed by the new warriors no matter where you put them. So why not put them in 4? Because we're seeing people throw the Rebirth team in 4, and Rebirth team is being pretty efficiently beaten by the Invaders, which isn't... You're not going to use Invaders anywhere else, and that would free up your new warriors to attack elsewhere. So after much debate, we decided that Gamma in 4 is fine. You could use Gamma in 1 or Gamma in 6. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to get beat by new warriors. But at least you're going 1 for 1, and you're not freeing that up with a Rebirth team, allowing them to use their new warriors somewhere else. So this is fine. The ISOs are fine. This placement works really well. Having Red Hulk in the middle, he's going to have immunity and safeguard, which means you're not going to be spreading offense down to 3 people. So this is the most efficient way to counter the new warrior team, but it's not countering anything. It's just, you know, making it a little bit tougher. So it's good placement, good ISOs. Turns out it's a good team to put in room 4. You're not really wasting anything because no one's using Gamma on offense for this season. So I'm going to go ahead and give this an A. I was reluctant to do so, but chat and everybody else talked me into it. Finally, in room 5, we have another team that I was like, oh, yuck, that's gross. Turns out this is actually a pretty good setup too. So one thing we don't want to use is a 5-piece unlimited team in room 5. You gain no benefit to the room, and it can be beaten by that walking hate composition, which is the Dormammu, Kestrel, Sam, Shang-Chi, and Fury. So we don't want to do that. That's kind of the big L for the room. We did throw in Jubilee on this, and that seems to help with the walking hate counter. It can help with a Masters of Evil counter, but not much. We talked about whether you want to use a Phoenix or a Beast or a Bishop in here, and all of those are pretty good choices. But whatever you want to do, hybridize the team to one degree or another. If it's just a Jubilee, or if it's Jubilee and Beast, or if it's just a Bishop, or if it's a Bishop and a Phoenix, or if it's any combination of those, be sure to get Rogue and Gambit in there with some other people. That way the walking hate counter doesn't work, and what you're left over with is probably going to take a Masters of Evil into this team. And so we kind of looked at everything that could happen, and the best thing his opponent can do is throw Masters of Evil at this. And Jubilee, at least Jubilee, is probably one of the best things you can do to help secure that outcome. Looks pretty good. However, I don't like Rogue as a Raider. I don't like Gambino as a striker. We want to reverse those. We want Rogue as a striker, or possibly a skirmisher if you really want to. But I think Rogue as a striker and Gambit as a Raider is the way to go. You want Gambit to crit to get extra evades out there. Prince of Peace was adamant that they were not going to remove Phantom X because they like those evades. But if they like those evades, then we need to get Gambit as a Raider. So for me, it's just those ISOs are probably the thing I have a problem with. Prince of Peace also likes using this Unlimited X-Men on offense, or uses at least Rogue and Gambit on offense, and so they like those ISO choices, but I don't like those choices. So I'm going A- on this team. I was gonna grade it a lot worse, but after thinking about it, it's kind of this idea that we've got more offensive teams than we have defensive teams. And so you kind of know that a certain team is going to be used somewhere, and we know that Masters of Evil is probably going to be the counter that comes into this. And if it wasn't for that Jubilee, it could be something else, freeing up the Masters of Evil. So again, Prince of Peace is doing a pretty decent job. All right, and finally in room 6, this is the thing everybody was like, what in the world? The thing is Prince of Peace is using the APOC Masters of Evil into the Bifrost team, and therefore doesn't need this on offense. And so he threw it in on defense. The thing is, we think that a Darkhold with Quicksilver is going to be more challenging to get through than this. And we actually think the Prince of Peace should start rolling the dice on that APOC Death Seed into Bifrost, using this team on offense and putting a Darkhold team on defense here because of efficiency. When you weigh the difference of what's happening in Room 2 and what's happening in Room 6, we think that overall having a Darkhold Quicksilver, or maybe a Darkhold Nova if you want, but Darkhold Quicksilver for sure in Room 6 is gonna come out a net win rather than having this here. Now, if Prince of Peace wants to continue using that APOC Masters of Evil into Room 2, then by all means, keep doing it. But we gotta have a Darkhold in Room 6 because that's gonna be way less efficient for your opponents to attack into. The reason that Prince of Peace wants this in here is because everybody else is using the Death Seed team in Room 2. On offense. They're using them on offense in Room 2. The best way to beat this team in Room 6 is the mirror match, and they won't have that available unless they start playing the way Prince of Peace does. Now, I say, Prince of Peace, you should keep this on offense in your back pocket just in case somebody gets clever and tries to do this to you, and you'll be like, ha ha ha, look at, I have Death Seed. I don't know. For me, I don't think this is great. I think this is like a C+ team. I think this is kind of detrimental to your overall point score, and even if you don't want to use this team on offense, I still think that the Darkhold Quicksilver team is the way to go in Room 6. However, Prince of Peace is working in Masters at not a ridiculous TCP. So, you know, what do I know? I don't know a whole lot. I actually have people like Dulom and Way Too Raw and Rolf Kieran and Juicy in chat, and all of chat. In fact, Zero's here in chat, and they're all giving me advice. So if you don't like the advice that I'm giving, be sure to look them up and complain to them because they're the ones teaching me how to do this stuff. So this team for me isn't great, but it's something different. I do like the Darkhold team. Over here, we have a little bit of a hybrid that was okay. And it works well. Don't use the 5-piece in here. Maybe check those ISOs. Again, we talked about different things with Gamma, and basically it's like throw it in there just to soak up that New Warriors team. Over here, this is fine. Everybody's using it. The Bifrost team, we had a lot of problems with placement and some issues with the ISOs, but it's what everybody needs to be working towards is in Room 2 because there's so few counters to go against it. And of course, in Room 1, it's mostly filler in here. Can get a little bit of be a bit tricky on offense. If you like what you saw and you want your team featured on Defense Up, then by all means, find me on Discord. The links are in the description below. You can contact me. I'll get you on the list. We also do war defense reviews. However, everybody is kind of holding off because we've got some new war rules that will be coming to the game, and everybody wants to have their defense reviewed once we get to war room bonuses. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourselves and others, too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.